Anyways, so in this session, we are going to discuss about how to have, I mean, a channel partner setup, and how to move from zero uh, bookings to 50 bookings within 6 months from when you start. So that's what this session is about. We will start with the approach. Under approach, there are various ways we can approach setting up a channel partner form, starting with a retail kind of a thing. Retail is more of a random thing. I mean, uh, some people approach you rather than you approaching projects and you targeting what you want to sell. Instead, you get approached by developers and or people who want to sell their individual properties, and you take a retail approach. You can also take a soul selling approach, wherein you can say that you can get into a strategic tie-up with the developer in such a way that no one else is authorized to sell those inventories except for you. So that's a soul selling kind of setup. Then new projects only. So there are these firms that lately operate on new projects only kind of basis, which means they only and only focus on uh, project launches. When we say project launches, it can either be at a very preliminary stage, or even for that matter, projects for which the developers have received OC, but it's a launch. It's a launch, which means there is a tremendous amount of spend that the developer is going to commit to, uh, and it is going to be for a specific period of time. So it's a new project only kind of scheme that many people have gotten into over a period of, I don't know, 2-3 years now. And then there is this category where there are certain segment of channel partners who do everything. I mean, they do fresh sale, I mean, they do new projects, they do resale apartments, they do your what we call that sustenance. They also sell during sustenance period. What sustenance means is that for a project, when it gets launched, the 3-4 weeks of launch is very hectic, and then kicks on the sustenance period, where there is no aggression for sale. However, the developer does not turn down any fresh sale for a specific period of time before they launch it once again in the market. So a launch can happen for a project anywhere from 1 to 6-7 times a year. For the time when there is no launch, we call it the sustenance. And there are channel partners who do very well during sustenance as well. And then of course they also do resale, rental, lease, everything. So yeah, so that those are the kind of approaches that one can take while setting up their respective channel partner firm.
And which one is more lucrative, like among all the four?
Which one is more lucrative? We will get to know in the upcoming point that I'm about to reveal, which is well begun is half the job done. So you can take any approach, but you'll always have to ensure the choice of project, or the choice, your choice of what you want to sell, how you want to sell. That is very important. Under choice of project, there are three main points to take care of while choosing the kind of project that you want to get associated with. One is the process, other is the sales team, and third and very important point is the post sales engagement. Okay. When I say process, so it's an experience. Okay. So when I like to choose a project, I want to always ensure that the prospect whom I'm sending to a particular site experiences great things, and uh, gets under the influence of the booking mode. Okay, that is very important. There are developers today who are able to create an aura around the sales, what you call that, session, where whenever a prospect arrives, they are able to create that atmosphere where the prospect is motivated to take a call, take a decision, and close the transaction then and there. So that's what we call a process. So if the process is strong, the probability of conversion is around 40% higher than what it is. So you should always choose a project which has a strong process in place. So it should I have stopped approaching projects, or stopped working with projects that don't know how to approach a particular sales cycle, because when they are confused, they are not able to do proper justice uh, to what you have on offer. So getting a prospect to visit a site takes a lot of time, energy, and investment. Okay, the developers who understand this most probably have a strong process in place, because they understand what it takes to get a person to visit the site, and once he or she is in there, the process takes care of itself. Second most important thing is the sales team. Now sales team has to be extremely aggressive. Okay, I have come across people who have proactive who are still proactively asking the prospect to take their own sweet time to decide and come back. All of that used to be the tactic of the past. Today's sales team has to be very aggressive and have to deal with prospects tactfully. They have to always be on their toes, and they should always be thinking about conversion, conversion, conversion. Okay, unless and until you don't. So before we go on board with a particular developer, before we commit to tying up with a developer, these are the things that we do. I mean, we have our due diligence in place. So these are the things that we kind of monitor or look out for within the project, or within the developer's arsenal. So a strong sales team is going to ensure that your job is 70% done, because if they have a strong process, and additionally they also have a sales team that is complementing the strong process, 9 out of 10 times when a prospect is at the site visit, and if they have genuine intention of buying a home, the conversion happens then and there. Also, one very most the most important point is to get paid on time, and is to have a smooth collection process in place. Such I mean It should not happen such that the project is amazing, they have amazing processes in place, and the sales team is always sales driven. Having said that, when it comes to collecting the commission, and when it comes to having that end commercial transaction, if there is friction at that point, then there is no use of investing your time, energy, and monetary investments into such a project. So you also need to always ensure that the project that you are getting involved with has a smooth post sales engagement process, both with your prospect who has just become their uh, client or customer, and also with you, to ensure that there is no additional burden or additional responsibility of getting the money out of the developer. That more often than not becomes a bigger task. एज चैनल पार्टनर्स हमको हमेशा ऐसा फील होना चाहिए कि हाँ बाबा, पैसा कहीं नहीं गया, काम करते रहेंगे तो रोलिंग होता रहेगा. अगर वो फीलिंग आपको कोई प्रोजेक्ट नहीं देता है, तो देन इट you might as well stay away from that particular project, because the burden of thinking and getting the money out of the developer or the project is going to be bigger than getting site visits done to that particular project. So
But
that
then,
should never be.
but
Yeah.
then unless and until we burn our fingers, we don't realize that which developer is going to shell out the money.
So ideally, every developer already has a reputation in the market.
Yes.
Okay, and the reputation is more often than not true. If the reputation is good, it is going to be a good experience. And if the reputation is not so good, then it is definitely going to be a not so good kind of experience. Okay, so you should always go by the reputation that they carry in the market. And these
Hmm.
developers, when they have such strong processes and sales team in place, they are also more often than not very serious about their reputation, because they don't want to get into a position where they think कि बाबा इतना सब कर दिया यार, सिर्फ नाम खराब है, नाम
Ah,
खराब नहीं होना चाहिए. तो उसका भी ध्यान रखते हैं. Let's, I mean, there are developers, I do not want to name any developer in
yes.
this particular call, but there are developers who have excellent processes and sales teams, but
Hmm.
they suck when it comes to post sales engagement, both with their home buyers
And
as
with
well
the
as
channel
channel
partner.
partners.
Yes,
Okay.
and the difficulty becomes more, Gopal, when there is an individual who comes into play rather than a kind of a established brand. Say for example, XYZ brand of a channel partner is there in the market, so the developer will be good with them. Other when compared to an individual who is kind of dealing with him with further bookings.
So it is all about the forecasting game, is
Yeah.
what it is. They don't differentiate between individual and entity. They differentiate between the flow. The walk-in flow is what is very important. So
Yes.
of what I have always understood, there are channel partners who are active on footfall, and there are channel partners who are active on paper. Okay, so the ones that are active on paper will always show up on your channel partner meets. You will feel
Yes.
550, 700,000 rupees. But the one who are active on footfall are going to be about 100. If you
Yeah.
are able to get 550 to the channel partner meet, only 5% of those are going to be, or rather 20% of them are going to be your active on footfall kind of channel partner.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
even if you're an individual and if you're active on footfall, then you will get the attention that you deserve.
Hmm.
Having said that, if there is someone else who's able to get more footfalls than you, and so the game changes there. So every associate has 3 to 4 channel partners assigned to him or her.
But then
You
the
have
number
to
of
be the best.
footfalls will, but the number of footfalls will be different when it comes to an individual and team. I mean, in case of a team or in case of a big brand, they will always have a kind of a big number of footfalls when you compare with an individual, right?
Right. Having said that, the quality can differ. So
Yeah.
let us say, for example, if there is an entity who's able to walk in 20-25 clients, we day in and day out. So let's say, for
Mhm.
example, between Monday to Sunday, there is this channel partner who has a team of 16 employees or 16
Mhm.
full-time equivalents who are dedicated to this one project and are able to get 25 walk-ins every week, of which 2 or 3 walk-ins close, become convert. They convert into home buyers. Then we have this individual who's only doing 3 visits, 3 site
Hmm.
visits, and is able to convert
Close
one out
one.
of three
Ah, that's what. Absolutely.
right. So it is always important for us to understand that the individual guy is going to be able to focus more on his prospects and is going to genuinely get more qualified clients across the table,
True.
right, as against the team, because the team is working on the formula of volume. They know that बाबा 25 लोग जाएंगे तो 2-3 लोगों को तो convert होना ही होना है.
Ah,
Whereas the individual is has the responsibility of having that one conversion every week. For that,
yes.
he will ensure that he gets 2 to 3 people, serious people, 2 to 3 serious people, of which
On
one
the
will
site.
definitely convert.
Yes. Absolutely.
So वो वैसा गेम हो जाता है. So let's say, for example, if there is this one guy who's handling an ICP, and then there is one guy who's handling RCP. Now ICP RCP, because I believe you will know, because you are working with Loda.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right. So retail channel partners and institutional channel partners.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So the
Yeah.
retail channel partner guy will also feel important. So if the retail channel partner guy has 3 people under him, of
Mhm.
which one is an entity, 2 are individuals, and if the individuals give him better conversion, and I am talking about sourcing managers here, because
Okay.
they are the face of the
Yes.
organization for you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if of the three people, or of the three accounts that he is handling, one is an entity, two are individuals. If the
Mm.
individuals are giving him better conversion than the entity, he will focus on individuals over the entity.
Yeah. 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 True.
So that is always the case.
Yeah,
uh,
but then this kind of format is different from developer to developer. Everyone is not Lodha again, so that is
Definitely, definitely. So it is that, which is why I have mentioned that well begun is half the job done. So you have to do your due diligence. You have to. So it is. So what happens today in my channel partner firm? We say no to 9 out of 10 projects that
come
get
to
to
you.
our table. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I have to say no to most of the stuff, because I don't want to get into a situation tomorrow where we've done amazing investments, we are getting footfalls, and still we are not getting conversion. Okay,
Absolutely.
that is not where we want to get to. Okay, so it is always better off to say no in the beginning and only work with those whom you're confident are going to deliver,
True.
right? So it's, I am better off working only with four, only with four developers in their 5 to 6 projects this whole fiscal year, but I will ensure that I gain profit out of those 6 to 7 projects that I'm working in, rather
Absolutely.
than tying up with going to channel partner meets of 20 different
Yes.
developers and
Yes.
focusing on 40 different projects and
Yeah.
not being able to excel in any of them,
Yeah.
right? So I have understood this is the approach that is making me money, and that is what I am sharing with you guys as well today. You have to be extremely choosy with the uh,
Choice of
yeah,
projects.
choice of the project. The process has to be extremely stringent and uh, customer friendly. They must get motivated to take a call. If
Yeah.
we are able to get to that, what you call that, to that wavelength, then there is definitely closure. Okay, and when it's closure, then there is no looking back.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the most crucial question that everyone might have: team
Yeah.
versus
Team
individual.
versus individual.
What is the better approach? There is no better approach. Both have its own advantages and disadvantages. We will talk about the team. Within the team, what are the number of full-time equivalents that you have? That is what you have to always, there has to be the right balance of employees in within the organization or within the entity that you form as a channel partner setup. uh, you should have substantial amount of pre-sales guys, the ones who convert your leads into prospective clients. Then there have to be these enablers. Now enablers play a very important role because they are the ones who ensure that the client is uh, the client is, in our language we call it cooked, but it might or it might not be relevant, but the client is prepared to take that call when he or she visits the site. That is a better way of putting it. So the enablers might go visit their offices, their homes, wherever they ask them to come to explain the project properly. The enablers influence them in such a way that I mean they set the what you call that, they set the
Got.
scene straight. Ki boss, this is how you it is going to be there, this is all what you should be expecting, this is the basic foundation that I have laid in front of you. You can take your time, you can discuss with family, come with family, and ensure that while you are there, the time that you receive in front of the decision, I mean in front of the employee or the person from the organization, you have to take a call whether it is yes or no. That is the job of the enabler. The enabler, if the pre-sales guy has qualified the client 30%, the enabler will take it from 30% to 70%, and the last 30% is left with the sales team. So if we have a very strong sales team, it is going to be a cakewalk for them to qualify the client with the last 30%. So that is what it is. Your pre-sales team should be able to convert leads into qualified clients or qualified prospects. Enablers will tend engage with the qualified prospects, and they will get them to a level where they have to take a decision, either a yes or a no, while at the site. And then at the site, the sales team will do their job properly. And then of course the post sales uh, team or the post sales employee. So in my organization, I only have one person who takes only care of post sales. Is very important because that is the person who's getting money into the organization or into the entity for me, because that is the person who's continuously engaging with the newly booked clients of various developers to ensure that their loan gets approved and their registration is done on time. All of that is taken care of this one post sales guy who ensures that the money that is due for us to be received from the developer is received on time, and then there is no bookings lost between the actual booking, the time of booking, till the registration. So this
Mm-hmm.
post sales guy plays an extremely vital role. He gets beaten up from all sides because the client, the guy who has booked is not happy about something. He approaches this guy. His loan is not getting cleared. He approaches this guy. The developer has a problem that the client is not picking up the phone for some reason. This guy gets approached. So this guy gets approached from all nooks and corners, but he ensures that he balances everything, and he gets the money in whenever it is due and required. Okay, so
This is basically the collections department or the team that this person will be handling, right?
that is correct. The collections as well as the engagement with your existing developer tie-up as well as clients who have booked. So this guy is always a slightly better paid, better position wala guy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this guy is not your run-of-the-mill pre-sales or enabler kind of a profile. This guy
Mm-hmm.
earns pretty decent amount of money, but he earns that money to ensure that he gets money. Okay, so he plays a vital role, which is why he gets a better profile and a better pay over the others.
So he is not the guy who kind of assists the client to the site visit.
No, that is done by the enablers.
That is done by the enabler.
Yeah. So till the site visit, or even till the time the person is sitting across the table with the sales team, the onus is on the sales team. Okay, because they have to bring the prospect in. Once the prospect is in most of these companies which have these strong processes in place, the sales guy usually gets off the scene from there. He's
Yes.
not to be seen. Okay, that is why we need a strong post sales guy at our end to
Mm-hmm.
replicate the, what you call that, the aura the sales guy has created in the mind of the prospect.
True.
Because for the sales guy, once the swipe is done or the check is received, his job is done there.
Yes. Yes.
So we
Yes.
have to ensure that we have an equally eligible or equally what you call that, important kind of a post sales guy in place with us to ensure that the guy is able to handle all the rebuttals and all the things that prospects come up with. So yeah, and finally, a business development guy or a team. It might, I mean, institutional channel partners have this department. You might or might not. You might yourself do it, but the business development team will do all the due diligence and will do market survey and will understand if they if so they will understand the philosophy of the entity and bring in projects that they think fit the requirement of the entity. So
So
that
is
is
it
what the
like, so business development, does it mean like identifying new projects in the vicinity who's I mean and getting tie-ups with them? So that is
right,
what the job of this person?
right. So the business development guy will identify projects that matches the working style of the channel
The
partner
channel partner
entity.
farm. Okay. Okay.
Right, so of whatever I have whatever I have spoken till now, uh, one thing is for sure. Okay, you cannot be master of everything. Okay, you can either be very good at sourcing, or you can be very good at closing. So
Mm-hmm.
more often than not, when a person decides to come up with a channel partner entity, they want to be extremely strong in sourcing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they want to source very well. So even my entity that I run, we are a very good sourcing team. You can get me a project which is far off, very
Mm-hmm.
far from the city with zero connectivity, and if I if I am able to convince myself stating that बस इस project का process बहुत सही है, इसके sales की team अच्छी है, तो I am going to get the first 100 walk-ins within 30 days.
True.
Because my team is capable of getting walk-ins. I have built my team that way. I have always inculcated in my team that boss, we are not closers. हम close नहीं करने वाले, close कोई और करने वाला है. Our job is to get as many people as possible to the site, as qualified as possible.
As qualified as possible. True.
Okay. So when you create
But
teams, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying that having so many kind of levels in one thing, like pre-sales, enablers, post-sales, business development, you have so many kind of different people who will be kind of handling these sections. Will there not be a kind of what to say? I mean, can we not say that there will be a gap in between them where the pre-sales doesn't kind of have a kind of how should I convey this? A nice kind of a rapport with enabler, or enabler having it with post sales, or post sales having with business development. And if there is some kind of a gap which comes between, then the whole thing goes off for a toss, right? And how is it for as a kind of a CEO or the founder, which you are actually? So how do you kind of maintain a coherence between all the four these things?
So the metrics.
I am not sure if I'm.
No, I've completely understood. So the metrics at every level is defined in such a way that it automatically takes care of the next step. So for a pre-sales team, okay, their metrics is not closures at the site. Their metrics is to qualify X amount or X percentage of leads as prospects who are interested in the project. Okay. So let's say, for example, I head marketing. I decide what media am I going to spend in and what amount of leads I am going to bring in for a particular project in this month. Okay. So all I discuss with my pre-sales team is that, boss, I am going to get you 5,000 leads this month. Okay. And I expect that you convert 20% of the 5,000 leads into interested prospects. So their target is to get 1,000 people to agree to communicate with enablers. Enablers will have another 30% target of the 1,000 of the 20%.
We are actually working with numbers over here.
Right, I am talking, and all of this is integrated via the CRM that we have in place.
Yes.
So there is no dependency anywhere. So let's say, for example, if the pre-sales guy qualifies the lead into a prospect, it automatically falls into the kitty of the enabler. Once the enabler has the site visit scheduled, it's his responsibility to get the site visit done. Once the booking happens, it automatically falls into the kitty of the post-sales guy.
Okay.
So there is no verbal there is not enough. I will not say there is extremely no verbal communication. There, it will exist at till some level, but all the decisions are made via the CRM.
Yeah, but these three people, the pre-sales, enablers, and post-sales, will have a communication with the developer as well. So that is again a different thing.
No, so the developer is only speaking with the post-sales guy.
Okay, only with the post-sales
and
guy.
The business development guy. So the developer will have two point of contacts. If the flow is not coming, he will catch hold of the business development guy, and if the money is not coming from the book client, he is going to catch hold of the post sales guy.
Okay. But the enabler as well, because he is the person who is kind of taking the client to the site visit, right?
So enabler will take client to the site visit only if he has enough number of qualified prospects. He will only have enough number of qualified prospects if the pre-sales team has got that enough number of leads to qualify them. And the pre-sales team will have enough number of leads only if I do proper lead generation. I will do proper lead generation only when the business development guy gets me all the proper information from the developer. So that is the chain. The chain starts from business development and ends in post sales. So the developer is only and only in touch with either the business development guy or the post sales guy.
Okay. So you said that we have to spend a little more on the post sales guy. So that means that we don't I mean, we can take a bit of leverage while paying the enabler or the pre-sales team.
So I don't care who the enabler is, to be very honest. Okay, because my
but then
money is on the sales team.
Yeah, but then he's the point of contact with the client, right? I mean, the second call or the third call, which kind of asks the client to come to the site, will be from the enabler side, right?
Right, that is true. But I have done my job by qualifying the leads into prospect, which the
Hmm.
pre-sales team have done very well. And
Okay.
then I know that since अभी मैंने उंगली कर दिया है,
Ah,
okay, now he will the prospect will 9 out of 10 times take that decision of visiting the site. The enabler is only going to motivate when the person stalls the decision of visiting the site.
okay.
But once at the site, the enabler's job is over. The sales
Ah,
team is going to take it from there.
yes. That means ki pre-sales should be a bit stronger.
The pre-sales should be strong because the money that you're spending on advertising and getting
Yeah.
people to know about the project must be utilized properly, and the pre-sales team is going to convert have that initial conversion of qualifying leads into prospects.
Yeah. So the client will have two point of contacts, that is pre-sales and the enablers, right?
The client will have two points of
Yes.
contact, yes. And of course, once they become home buyers, they will also coordinate with the post sales.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So any questions still here? I think
That is it.
nice.
So
So
what
we
would be Gopal Chandra here?
yes, yes, yes.
So what would be typical profiles of these enablers and pre-sales here? I mean, in terms of what kind of people should we be hiring?
Depends upon the project and the ticket size and what it demands. I mean, so for me the pre-sales executive is so I hire undergrads as well. I don't have an educational criteria for anyone to join my firm. As long as they are driven and motivated, I'm open to all kind of profiles. So pre-sales, the salary bracket is anywhere between 12 to 15K. Enablers, again,
I was going to
enablers
ask this question, but still.
enablers are between 10 to 15K, 10 to 15K as well. Your post sales guy draws around 30, 35, 40K, depending upon experience and uh, you know the pressure that the level of pressure that they are able to handle, anywhere from 30 to 40K. Business development guy again is the most paid guy because they are the ones who are bringing in business. So the business development guy at my end earns 50K per month, but not necessarily the business development guy should earn that much. You can also have someone at a lower salary bracket of 20, 30K.
But his job is only for the sourcing, right? So we did not pay him that high, kind of.
So ideally, the thing is, you know what? If he's not sourcing properly, the
Okay.
whole
The
cycle gets
selection
choked.
of the project. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you start investing on a wrong project. So you
Yeah.
have to be doubly sure that the kind of projects that he brings on the table are the ones that are going to. So it's like the oil. The oil should always flow properly.
Yeah.
If he's not, if he's adulterating stuff at that point of time, everything gets screwed.
I have one more question, if I can ask.
Right, right. Yeah.
How do we keep a tab on these enablers?
How do we keep a tab?
Tab in the sense, I mean, how do we ensure that these people are kind of doing their job properly? I mean, getting for
Right,
this,
right.
because these people are like, what should I say? वो मतलब उतना पैशन के साथ नहीं करते हैं. It's like,
Correct, correct. Which is where we are heading to. The next and very important point
okay.
is ownership driven management.
Hmm.
Okay, you might have an entity, but each and every employee whom you are hiring must have some ownership that they have to take. Okay,
Hmm.
if they are unable to take ownership, then they are not fit for the job. So how we have accomplished this is that we have a very low fixed salary and we have high variable remuneration. Okay, so the better you perform, the more you take home, is what it is. Apart from that, we also, for every project that we engage into, we have attractive incentive slabs. When I say incentive slabs, this is not monetary. This is your supplementary kind of an incentive, where we have Goa trips and
Gifts and
gold
all.
coins and gifts and this and that. This is in addition to the higher variable that they are going to take home. Okay, so let's say, for example, if a pre-sales executive, if she's earning 12K
Mhm.
per month, her variable will be another 3K on closure. Plus, she
Mhm.
becomes eligible to also get the gift home.
So which can be monetized as well, or it is not supposed to be?
It so we do not allow them to monetize
Okay.
the incentive slab,
Okay.
but that's only our choice. I mean, we want them, so ideally we want our employees to also cash in on the refreshments and other activities, because
Okay.
if they're only working for remuneration, they will
Mhm.
burn out very soon, and you will not be able to churn out the same kind of performance out of them throughout the year. So if there is a Goa trip, there is a Goa trip. You have to go, other or you don't go anywhere. Okay, because
Okay.
that is going to keep them motivated for another 3 months.
And that is the kind of incentive slab that Lodha also kind of does it. I mean, they don't offer monetary incentives and all, so they will always kind of give gifts and all, and they don't offer to kind of monetize them as well.
Right, because it is
It
important
can be the
to
thought
keep
process
your,
which goes behind.
yeah, yeah. So because I've given them 5 days off during Pitru Paksha, my
Mm.
team is now going to be doubly charged for this festive season.
Sure.
Right, because they don't usually get Saturday Sundays off. I
Yeah.
have given them Saturday Sundays off, and I've set the expectation ki baba, you, so I have come up, people come up with requests saying, boss, I will work this, but I want leave during Diwali, I want leave during
Ah.
Dussehra. But that is not possible. These leaves are not transferable. You
True.
either take it now or you work throughout. So that is how these things work. Okay, so that is how these things work. Final and most important point is perform or perish. Okay, we cannot be emotional with the guys whom we work with, and
Yes.
since this is a very highly high risk, high gain kind of an environment that we work in, we have to give them 2-3 months to perform. If they are not able to perform, we have to
You're
show them
fine.
the door. Okay,
Okay.
that answers your question, because
Yes,
you
yes,
don't
yes.
you don't tap their day-to-day activities. You just tell them ki,
Yes,
Baba,
yes, yes, yes.
this is your time.
Yeah,
If you are
yeah,
able
yeah.
to prove, you stay. If you're not able to prove, even seasoned guys who have worked with people for 1.5 years, I've kicked them out uh,
Mhm.
instantly. Okay,
Yes.
but that is how you have to be with this kind of setup,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you cannot afford to qualify an employee who is not performing for a very long time,
Yes.
because your margins do not allow you to do that.
So
And
our hiring should be very kind of a pakka so that we kind of actually hire at least 80 to 90% ka acha wala guy. So that,
hiring has to be
yeah,
throughout the year.
yeah.
Okay, it has to be a continuous kind of a flow. So for
Yes.
every person whom I fire once in 2 months, I already
Mm.
have the second
Replacement.
fiddle in place for to replace him. Okay, so
Ah, yes.
recently last week I fired my top performer. Okay, but
Mm.
I know that, boss, there is someone to take his shoes, who's ready. Okay, who's almost there. So I am not worried about letting go of my best performer, because I know there are 2-3 people who are ready to fill the shoes. Plus I also have few people who are waiting to get a job offer from me. Okay, so that is how your hiring health should be.
and
Okay, you
and
should
there's some
always
kind
have
of a
choices.
and there's some kind of a wrong activities also which happen, which I have seen, is like the person who is the enabler, he kind of gets into with a kind of a backdoor kind of entry with the developer, and then what he does is, like, if there is like three bookings happening, he kind of reports two bookings with the channel partner firm, and somehow the developer gives him the money for the one booking through a backdoor or something like that. So
Okay, so these might be rare occasions. I mean, you cannot cannot hire 100% ethical guys every time,
Yes.
but because I have a post sales guy, and so this has never happened with me, to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
I have strong front end guys
Processes
in
in
place.
place.
Yeah, front end guys are very strong. They verify everything. So even if the person does not book, I have my post sales guy who gives them a call asking what happened when they visited the site yesterday or day before, or stuff of that sort.
This generally happen with the references which the person who has bought the property provides. So that's
Mhm.
what.
Right. So whoever walks in through us gets a call from us, not the very
Mm.
same day, but the next day or the next day after. I mean, couple of days after their visit. So we
Okay.
always ensure that we have a tap of, and we also kind of then ask them to visit other sites. So it's a process. So if
Uh-huh.
they have not booked at Lodha Palava, then we pitch Runwal City, or
Okay.
so we will pitch Regency now. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so ours is a continuous. So इसने यहाँ पे नहीं लिया तो बाबा ये कहीं तो और लेगा. So
हाँ.
we line them up for that time. So under that scenario, if the person has booked and not reported, we'll come to know कि बाबा इसने booking किया है और अपने इसमें record नहीं हुआ है. So we will come to know within 24 to 48 hours. So that's not a big deal.
True.
Cool. So we'll move on to quickly talk about individual setup and against the entity. So individual setup is going to be a very different ball game altogether. You have to be a relationship champion. Your relationship has to be extremely strong with the sales team. I'm not talking about the developer here, but the sales team, because you will have to know who among the sales. So let's say for example there might be 4 to 5 different guys who are taking care of sales of a particular project. Of the 4 to 5 guys, you'll have to identify the two of the best guys, and you have to have extremely healthy relationship with them, because you are not going to be able to get volumes and volumes of walk-ins. But of the walk-ins that you are going to get, you should always ensure that those walk-ins are engaged with the right kind of guys at the developer end, which is why your relationship has to be extremely healthy with the uh, best of the sales guys within the organization. At the same time, your relationship also has to be extremely strong with the prospects who are going to walk in. You cannot, you know that you have only so much bandwidth, and you can only do so much walk in per week. So you might as well have amazing relationship with the prospects who you are getting in touch with, to ensure that once they visit the site, conversion is inevitable.
But sometimes you don't have a choice on the selection of the sales manager as such when you kind of come for a walk-in as such.
So you have to build that relationship over a period of time, because so
Mhm.
when I was working with Ludha, I know there were 3 to 4 channel
Yes.
partners who used to wait, make their prospect wait for half an hour so that they can engage with me. So I used to not even get loo breaks because they always wanted their clients to be attended by me, and it did not happen the very first day. Okay,
Yeah.
neither did they bribe me or anything of that
Yes.
sort, nothing of
Yes.
that sort, but they formed a relationship with me, and
Mm.
they got me to a point where I could not say no.
Mm.
Okay, so this has to be developed. It will take some time, but once you develop this kind of a relationship with the sales guys, then they will also give your clients priority over others.
Yes.
But you have to invest on that. It is not
Mm.
going to happen immediately, but if you
Mm.
invest on it, you will get results for sure.
So in case of Lodha, we'll have to kind of build a good relationship with the sourcing manager in the first place, who kind of
Not
deals with the
sourcing,
channel
not
partners.
sourcing, closing manager.
Sorry, the closing manager.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So if you've identified कि बाबा हाँ ये बंदे का मस्त closure है, so
yeah.
you start a random conversation, and
Hmm.
so if you praise them, they will know कि बाबा हाँ ये तो बाबा इसको कुछ काम निकालना है.
Uh,
It has to be a very tactical thing. It will
yes.
take a week, 10 days, 15 days, but
Hmm.
once it starts happening, then it will continue for a very long time.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah, also ROI first. So since you are an individual, and this is going to be an event, every closure is going to be an event, your ROI has to be has to take precedent over everything else. You have to ensure that you at least have so much gained out of every transaction that has happened. Okay,
Mhm.
so ROI has to, so in team there might be losses that can be covered with some other transaction at some other project or stuff of that sort.
Yes.
But with individual we cannot afford to be lenient that way. We have
Mm.
to ensure that boss agar ye convert ho raha hai, so this is going to be my net income out of the whole deal. So
Yes.
your ROI has to be first,
Paka.
and you have to always keep that first over everything else. And you
Absolutely.
have to continuously experiment. Okay,
Yes.
since you are the only person who is going to be in charge of all the activities that your business is going to experience, you have the leverage of experimenting newer things. You have the kind of monetary gains that you are going to receive, you can invest them on experiments to get better at increasing that ROI or increasing the profitability of the whole transaction. So you have to continuously experiment to get to a point where you can say that बस इस last week का जो मेरा conversion था उसमें I stood to earn 40,000 with the same
Mhm.
kind of profile to this transaction will yield me 45,000 because I've spent 5,000 rupees less on acquiring this client.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, so that continuous experimentation is extremely important.
True, 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 true.
Finally, we will move on to marketing.
So just one final question in the section of team versus individual. So
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, go
yeah.
ahead.
So I was saying like, given if you have money as constant, would you still start as an individual and then progress to a team, or if you have the money, go for a team? What do you say?
Good question. uh, it is very important for us to experience what we are going to get into first.
Mhm.
Okay, so I would always want to approach from an individual standpoint and then move on to build a team, because the team is going to give me access to multiple projects at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, but at the same time it will also the individual performance or the time that I'm going to spend with that one particular project or multiple projects, whatever I choose to pursue, is
Mhm.
going to give me the understanding of what I can expect with a team.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I would definitely go the individual then team kind of a route.
Okay.
But I have known many people who don't know ABC of how this thing works.
Yes, because I have also come across some channel partner firms like whose owners are like least involved in the process itself. I mean, they don't know what is the ground reality of what is happening, but still they are running successfully.
Right. So the choice is yours. If this is going to be your bread and butter for the next 5-10 years, then you might as well want to know कि बाबा क्या होता है, कैसे
क्या
होता है.
होता है? Yeah, yeah.
But if this is your side income kind of a thing,
Then
uh,
individual is good. Yeah.
yeah, then you can you might as well delegate it to
Okay.
someone else.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah, so that's how it is. Now marketing, so most of it is already discussed in our course, but since I have this topic, I thought I will also discuss it here. Online we will have Google ads, Facebook ads, property portals, and existing database. So Google ads will have your pull kind of leads, people who are already looking for a property in a particular area, and if your property happens to fall in that uh, area which is already in demand, then Google ads will perform very well. uh, if by chance your property does not fall in that under that purview, and if the property is slightly far off and there are not many people who are actively looking to invest in the locality, Facebook ads do really very well. Property portals have certain inventories that work amazingly well. Having said that, every category of offering that these property portals have, share the leads with your competitors and anyone and everyone who's ready to pay for the lead. So you have to be extremely proactive with managing those leads that you generate via property portals, which means if the lead has landed in your SMS or your dashboard at 12 p.m., you should already be in touch with the client at 12:02 p.m.,
Okay.
because at 12:05 p.m. someone else is going to access that lead.
Uh-huh.
that is actually you, that for which you have actually paid lakhs of rupees, but the property portals don't understand or are not very sensitive enough to people who actually pay to generate these leads.
Yeah.
So that is the downside. But because there are, so let's say for example 99 acres run omni ads. Omni ads are doing really well in the market today, that 99 acres has on offer. Only problem being was, if someone has bought their leads package, they
Mhm.
can access the lead as soon as you have access to it as well.
Oh,
Okay, so
that
you
that
might have
means they don't
spent,
have an exclusivity of the leads.
no property portal has exclusivity of leads. Okay, so you have to jump into that lead as soon as you generate it. You cannot afford to be lenient with
Mhm.
property portal leads.
Mhm.
Existing database, so you form your existing database over a period of time, and those are the best. So list building is what people call in digital marketing
Yes.
arena. So your existing database is your list, and they will almost every time respond whatever you have to offer them. Okay,
Mm.
and that is where your first few bookings will come from as well. Okay, so it is very important, be it individual or be it a team kind of a setup, that you engage with all of these different channels simultaneously, because that is going to enable. So for every project that you take, you should always have a forecast. I never look at the project that I take कि बाबा ये इतने टाइम में मेरे को इतना बुकिंग मिलना मांगता है. I always look at it from lead generation perspective.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
So,
should. Yeah, go ahead.
so will you be touching base a bit on the Google Ads as well in the future?
Yes, yes. So right now I'm focusing on landing page optimization. I will
Mhm.
soon come up with a piece on landing page optimization, and then I will move on to Google Ads, because that is Google Ads ka premise jo hai, that
Uh,
is on an effective landing page. Okay, because you
True.
spend tremendously on Google Ads, and
Mm.
if you are not taking the person to a proper page, or
Yes,
you do, if you don't have a proper asset in place, then
yes.
that expense is going to go in vain. So
Yeah,
I want to communicate the importance of landing page and optimization of landing page before I move on to Google Ads. So
thank you
yeah,
so much, Gopal. I really appreciate the kind of value that you are delivering in this. I mean, it's tremendous amount of value that you are delivering in this course.
if there is no value, because so time is the asset. Okay,
Yes,
I have always given precedent to time over money, because you can it is very easy to shell out 5,000 rupees for anyone
yes,
of
yes,
us to enroll into anything.
yes,
But
yes,
the 1 hour that you have spent here with me today,
yes,
that is invaluable. Okay, because this, you cannot cash in this time again in your
yes.
life, but you have chosen to listen to me, so I have to do justice to what you have given me. So that
Immense
is
amount
how
of
I look.
value, no doubt. Immense amount of value. When I enrolled for the course, I never expected that this is the kind of value that I will be getting. But then it's really, I mean, hats off.
No, so this has to be continuous until and
Yes.
until unless and until we don't achieve anything in life. All of this is not. This is all just fluff. So let's focus on that, and we will go to get into everything one by one to ensure that we understand the whole game. So
True,
property
true.
portals again are extremely important channel. Uh, so
Mhm.
if I have 3 weeks of launch for a
Mhm.
particular Lodha project, and
Mhm.
within the 3 weeks, if I have a target of 25 net units, I have to do 38 units gross. That is how I am going to end up having 25 net unit sales. For
Yes.
25 net unit sales, I have to at least generate 1500 leads. Those
Yes.
1500 leads should at least yield 10% walking, which is 150 walk-ins.
Actually, yes.
150 walk-ins will then yield me 25 net bookings. So I
Absolutely.
so whenever I approach a project, I look at it this way कि बाबा इसको 25 सेल इधर मारने के लिए ठीक है 1500 लीड जनरेट करना है. For me
Mm.
to generate 1500 leads, how much of it is going to come from Google Ads, how much of it is going to come from Facebook ads, how much of it is going to come from property portals, and how much of walk-in am I going to be able to execute from my existing database.
So what is the
I
amount?
don't
What is
even,
the percentage of amount that you kind of distribute on all these different things like Google Ads?
depends on the product. Okay, so
Okay.
let's say for example, if it is Loda Palava, I
Mhm.
have to spend heavily on Google Ads because it
Yes.
has tremendous competition.
Uh,
Every keyword costs more than 100 rupees
yes.
for
Yes.
Loda Palava, right?
Yeah.
So the spend is as per the project. So I'm doing
Mhm.
this project for which the video ad is running.
Mhm.
Google Ads is extremely lucrative. I'm generating leads at 50 rupees on Google Ads. You will not believe.
Oh, that's right. That you would really like to learn.
Yeah. So there is no competition, and I have
Um,
chosen my keywords strategically, and
mhm.
those are highly valuable leads that I'm getting out of Google Ads. Having said that, the video that I'm running on Facebook is performing equally well. I'm
Okay.
getting leads for less than 5 rupees
Um,
by running that video on Facebook. Okay, I've also recently engaged with 99 acres for Omni ads, but I have
mhm.
prepared myself and my team कि बाबा ये Omni ad से जो भी lead आएगा इसमें तुरंत action लेना पड़ेगा.
That's what.
Yeah, so yeah, you have
So
to. So
if you have that kind of systems in place, then only you suggest for property portals and all. Otherwise, you should kind of refrain.
right. So you should have.
Yeah.
So I have dedicated 2 people from my team who are only going to. So we are going to have do an emailer on the 99 acre database this Thursday. Our featured listing for that particular locality will start from Friday. We
Okay.
are currently creating banner ads that are going to run throughout the internet, which is what they call their Omni. So that
Mhm.
is underway. But I have 2 people who are only going to be sitting on those leads that are being generated from these activities.
So
They are
when we are starting out, we should be focusing on Facebook ads, and then probably we can diversify into the other forms.
right. But it is important for you to forecast कि बाबा कितना lead लगने वाला है.
That's what.
End result
End
को
should
achieve
be
करने
mind.
के लिए what
Yeah.
is the kind of lead generation that you have to do.
Begin with the
Once,
end in mind.
yeah, so you cannot generate 1500 leads only out of Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you want to achieve that figure of 1500 leads, you have to have a multi-dimensional approach or multi-channel approach to your lead generation campaign. So all of
Mm-hmm.
that is very important. Marketing के अंदर वो आता है. We will quickly move on to print and outdoor hoardings as well. So these are expensive medium, but I'm sure these generate responses as well. So if you have the bandwidth, both in terms of monetary income as well as access to cheap offline media, then you should definitely leverage. Because my partner in my channel, I mean, my partner along with whom we've begun this channel partner firm, he is an offline media conglomerate. With him I am able to have access to 8,000 railway boards, local railway boards in Mumbai.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I am able to leverage that media to generate leads as well. So since it is cheap,
But
mhm.
I was just saying that, but in offline mode, it is not. Is it not much more of a kind of a brand awareness thing, which should be done by the developers and then the channel partner?
Depends on the product. Okay, if the
Because I don't know how the lead generation will be from these mediums, kind of.
depends on the product. When I say it depends on the product, within the offline media there are inventories that are very good lead enablers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's say for example we have this tender with railway for 10 years for the inside train panel. Okay,
Okay.
above the window on local
Mm-hmm.
trains in Mumbai there is a patti in which you
Okay.
can place ad. We
Uh-huh.
have that tender for 10 years. Now,
Oh,
a
okay.
person who sits from Thane, who travels to CST every day, is going
Mhm.
to be spending 45-50 minutes inside that dabba,
Yes,
inside
yes.
that local train. Okay. So he is
Mhm.
going to look here and there. He's not only going to be glued to what he's glued to for all the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
When he looks at my ad, he has ample amount of time to understand and then take action.
Okay.
Okay, and same way the railway boards. I'm not talking about the hoardings outside.
But
Uh,
can you measure the ROI of these leads?
yeah, so you have what you
I mean,
have
can you
those.
track them?
Yeah. So are you still able to see the screen here?
Yes.
So we have these virtual numbers assigned
Okay.
to all the hoardings that we place, and
Oh,
then we
okay.
are able to track the number of calls or the whatever conversations happen on
Mhm.
call. So it's very easy for us to track everything that way.
Okay.
So this is one of the, so this is the tap to call feature on that microsite that I have in place. So every
Mhm.
time someone taps on that tap to call feature within the microsite, they are able to call me, and this is the number that I've put. So
Okay.
so on 8th of October, I have received what, 6 calls till now.
Okay.
So since this morning, I have received 6 calls from my microsite that is running on Facebook.
Okay.
So the video has a call to a CTA of the microsite. Once someone lands on the microsite, they have an option of tapping to call. So
No, but we were speaking about the offline media, right?
yeah. So I mean, this is just an example. I
Okay.
have
Gopal,
multiple such numbers.
Okay. Okay.
Gopal, I have a question here.
Yeah.
So you have given some number and you have integrated IVR with that, is it,
Yeah.
to get this dashboard?
So I am not taking calls now. It is my team who is taking calls, and all their
And is
numbers are
it,
integrated within this panel.
so what is this panel actually?
It's called cloud telephony.
Okay, okay.
Okay, there are multiple providers, subscribers in India who
Mhm.
provide such services. So there is one number in the front end, and at the back end you can have 100 lines.
Okay.
Okay,
So all the calls that land on that number will be recorded.
it can either be round robin or parallel. You can have your kind of sequence. So I have set it on round robin. So let's say, for example, pre-sales executive number 1 picks one call. The next call automatically lands to pre-sales executive number 2.
Okay, okay,
So let's say I have 7 people on queue. All the 7 will receive calls one after the other.
okay.
So yeah, I mean, so I have these 4 numbers that I have purchased. So every
Mhm.
media I use a unique number to measure the performance of
Effective.
that particular media.
Okay.
So it helps me to decide whether I should be spending further or just cut and invest somewhere else.
Mhm.
So yeah, offline can be tracked and used that way. And finally, when we talk about approach, you can either have that offer specific approach saying कि बाबा ये मेरा product है इतने time का launch है, hurry up, this is your opportunity, uh, inventories are drying out and अभी करोगे तो ही मिलेगा types, or uh, you can take the educational way of doing things like home buyer tips. Since you are now a channel partner, you can take the educational approach as well. You can be extremely clear in stating that, boss, I am going to give you 7 home buying tips for the next 7 days, and after that I will tell you why it is important for me you to engage with me and help me choose the best what you call that home or your dream home for you.
So this is the kind of lead magnet that we'll give to the prospects.
Right. So you can probably subscribe them to your email series, 7-day, 10-day, 11-day email series, where you give them insightful home buying tips, and then engage with them in such a way that they don't digress from you for their home buying requirements.
Mhm.
So that is also an approach that we have undertaken recently. It is working, but this will not work for launches, because launches are your specific timeline, specific time period kind of a thing. But if you're able to create a list of people who are going to stay with you for a long time, you
Ah,
can pitch the launches to them. So
yes.
whenever, let's say for example, Loda launches Belmondo next phase, you
Mhm.
already have a list of 1,000, 1,500 people who have gone through the whole email series and who are ready to listen from you.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that way of approach is also working for people, and it's
But
also
will
very
this
effective.
work? But will this work on a project specific thing?
No, this will work on channel partner specific thing.
Okay.
You are creating your brand. Let's say,
Okay.
for example, I run ad homes. I am telling people why you should, when the next time you think about buying a home,
You
why
should
you
come to
should
ad
not
home.
go directly to the builder, and why you should come to ad homes.
Yeah.
So I
Understood.
am building my brand, and I am building a kitty of people who are approaching me, who are showing their trust. Ki Baba, okay, fine. I am going to give you an opportunity to choose my dream home for me.
And is this working like?
Yeah, it is working. It
Okay.
is working, and it is working really well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the initial 4-5 bookings happen on a particular project with this kind of a list. If you are able to create this kind of a list for yourself, what we are doing with the video views, all we are trying to do is we are trying to generate that audience who have shown interest in a property video.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so that is what it is, guys. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, this is all I had to offer on
Because
this topic.
because in India people have an inhibition for going through channel partners, and also that's the
So
thing.
yeah, so you have to make them understand through your email series or through your communication series. You will have to make them comfortable about the whole thing of going with you for that important decision that they are going to make in their life.
True.
Yeah, so let's say, for example, if you have 100 people on your list, uh, even 30 of them get convinced with what you have on offer. That is still 30 people on pilot for you for the next launch that you are going to participate in.
True. 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 True.
So this is again a new market. So most of the home buyers don't want to go with channel partners, but if
Yes.
you are able to create that space where you make them comfortable to go with you, and if you're able to get that transparency, this will not happen overnight. Again,
Yes. It
it's
will
a
take time.
process. But if you start today, the next year same time you will have a kitty of 2,500, 3,000
Yeah.
people on your list who are comfortable going with you for their home buying purchase decisions.
And these will be the kind of nurtured leads that you have nurtured over a period of time.
Very true, very true.